Good evening. Today is January 8th, 2019. Welcome to Light at the End of the Tunnel. My name is Jeff LaRouche. Today's topic is service animals and handlers. The type of service animal that I want to talk about in particular is dogs. So, with that in mind, a service dog is an animal that has been trained to assist a person who has a disability. A service animal means any dog that is individually trained to do work or perform tasks for the benefit of an individual with a disability, including a physical, sensory, psychiatric, intellectual, or other mental disabilities. Tasks performed can include, among other things, pulling a wheelchair, retrieving dropped items, alerting a person to a sound, reminding a person to take medication, or pressing an elevator button. So what I did do is I wrote down 4 variations of what the service dog does. I mean, there's many different variations. So for one, a guide dog or seeing eye dog is a carefully trained dog that services as a travel tool for persons who have severe visual impairments with a disability. 2, hearing or signal dog is a dog that has been trained to alert a person who has a significant hearing loss or is deaf when a sound occurs, such as a knock on a door. Psychiatric dog is a dog that has been trained to perform tasks that assist individuals with disabilities to detect the onset of psychiatric episodes and lessen their effects. An SSIG dog, sensory signal dogs or social signal dog, is a dog trained to assist a person with autism. So I said I have 4, but I actually have 5 here. So the last one I want to talk about, seizure response dog, is a dog trained to assist a person with seizure disorder. How the dog serves the person depends on the person's needs. The dog may stand guard over the person during a seizure, or the dog may go for help. A few dogs have learned to predict a seizure and warn the person in advance to sit down or move to a safe place. All right. So the other thing that I did is there's people out there that have service dogs that have asked me to come up with 10 things that their handlers want you to know that's important to them. Because a lot of times you'll see handlers with a disability with a service dog out in the streets, and they have rights just as much as you and I do. They're human beings. And just because they have a disability doesn't mean that they're any different than you and I are. So what I did do is I wrote down 10 things service dog handlers want you to know. Many people have a vague sense of awareness that service dogs help their person and that they are allowed to be in public, but there's a lot more of service dog handlers and teams than meets the eye. So here are 10 things that every member of the public need to know and understand. So 1, my service dog is actually working. It's doing its job. When you see the handler and partner out there in public, please understand the dog is doing vital work for the handler, even if the dog doesn't look like it is. The dog needs and wants to be left alone to do his job. Please don't distract the service dog for their job by yelling at it, talking to it, using baby talk, touching the dog's equipment, crowding the dog, whistling at the dog, barking at the dog, or otherwise doing anything except politely ignoring the dog. Number 2, the service dog is their lifeline. This could matter between life and death. Depending on the disability, the service dog may be the only thing standing between the handler and death. When you distract a dog from doing its job and task, the handler's life, health, and peace of mind are at serious risk. If you distract the dog and isn't able to respond appropriately, causing illness or injury to the handler, It's your fault and my fault. So ignore the dog entirely and let the dog focus on its job, which is most definitely keeping the handler safe. 3, their medical history is private, just like yours and mine. We don't need to tell the world what our problems are unless we need to. Don't ask about the diagnosis. Try to guess the reason why they have a service dog or ask them to disclose their private medical history. It's none of your business. Making inquiries about their personal information is not only uncalled for, but it's just freaking rude. Don't make fun of these people because they have a medical condition. A lot of people out there have medical conditions, and a lot of us don't want to share what our medical conditions are. So let's keep it private. Keep your thoughts to yourself about why you think these people are different than you and I, which they're not. It's just a disability. 4, they don't always want to answer questions. The service dog has made a huge difference in the handler's life, but don't always want to stop and talk to every single person who wants to ask about their handler or their dog. A lot of times, they run a quick errand and go home. Just like you and I. We want to be able to go to the store as quick as possible and go home, especially when it's cold out. So don't stop the handler in order to ask them about the dog's job, purpose, name, breed, where the dog was trained, what the dog does, how old the dog might be, and a ton of other questions that you might have. So don't get offended when the handler is slightly short or dodges your questions. Most of the time, the questions are personal and shouldn't be asked anyways. That's just being nosy. Number 5, not all service dogs are the same. There's many different variety of dogs out there, and none of them are the same. Service dogs come in all shapes, sizes, breeds, colors, coat types, and specialties. You cannot identify one by sight alone. Unfortunately, there are fake service dogs are relatively common. They do a lot of damage to legitimate teams. A team is the handler and the service dog. So don't judge obviously well-trained, well-mannered, quiet, well-groomed, highly responsive service dogs based on the behavior of a fake service dogs. I'm going to get more into detail about that in just a minute, about fake service dogs. Service dogs are most definitely loved. Don't feel sorry for a service dog because it has to work all the time. They are incredibly loved and does in fact enjoy time off. When they get their time off, they're treated just as everybody else's dog, a family dog, a family member. The service dogs are very well taken care of, and it's sometimes better off than most pet dogs because they are well adjusted, highly trained, and well socialized. Number 7, service dog is medical equipment. Basically, just like a wheelchair, crutches, or an oxygen tank, they're medically necessary, and anywhere in public medical equipment is allowed. So are service dogs and their handlers. So please treat the dog like medical equipment and don't touch, talk to the pet, or otherwise engage with a service dog. Number 8, service dog is protected under law. United States federal law protects service dogs' access rights. Federal law allows service dogs and handlers to go anywhere in public people are allowed to go. There's no exceptions. None. No exceptions. So it doesn't matter if you go to a place where there's food, or at the doctor's, or at some public setting. The federal law gives them the right to be there, period. But service dogs can be excluded from any public places if the dog is not house trained or is out of control and the handler can't do anything about it to handle the dog. Number 9, there is no certification required. There are no papers, documents, ID, certification, or other required information of any kind for the handler and partner in public. No documents are necessary. And it's illegal for you and me to ask them for any. If you're a business owner and you're not certain that the service dog is actually a service dog, then you may ask two questions. Is a dog a service dog? And what work does a dog do for the handler? Do not ask for private medical information, request paperwork, and do anything except ask those two questions. And number 10, I'd rather not have a service dog. Don't say that you would like to have a service dog in order to have a service dog. You have to be disabled as defined by U.S. federal law. Every time you say, I wish to have a service dog, you're saying, I wish whatever is wrong with the handler was wrong with yourself. These dogs normally get thousands of hours of training and socialization. It's not easy to train these dogs. It takes thousands and thousands of hours to train a dog right to help somebody that's disabled. And people that have these dogs that are disabled wish they didn't have them. They wish they didn't have an impairment of some sort. In some states, I believe in 18 different states, you can actually pick up a charge, a felony for interfering with a service dog and their handler. So basically with that in mind, if you're out in the streets and you see somebody with a service dog, leave them alone. The dog's out there to do its job. The person has a disability and needs to have the dog to help them get through their daily lives. They're no different than we are. They just need a little extra help. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't want to distract the dog from doing its job. And the dog might be the cutest dog in the world. But the dog is there to do its job, to help the handler out. So please, do me a favor. If you see a handler and their service dog out in the streets, leave them alone. Mind your business. Don't be rude. Look from a distance and stay clear of this team. They're a team. They work hand in hand. They work together. We have no right to butt into any of their business and what they're doing. We don't have any right to sit there and ask them questions about their dog and why they have a dog. It's not okay. My name is Jeff LaRouche. Thanks for watching Light at the End of the Tunnel. Today's topic was service animals and handlers. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.